Hello and welcome to Season A, the platform where we speak truth to power. Just wanted to touch about the Nasarawa, the decision by the courts. Let's go into the courts and have a listen to the court judgment and how they reach the decisions, has the ramifications. The current governor that was sworn in has been sacked and replaced by I think it's PDP. But let's listen to the details of the case so far.
Security operatives take up strategic positions within the court premises ahead of the verdict of the Nasarawa State Governorship Election Tribunal. While some leaders of the All Progressives Congress and counsels to the parties in the case were in court, the judges chose to deliver the judgment virtually. The People's Democratic Party and its governorship candidate, Mr. David Umbugadu, had contended, amongst others, that his actual votes were unjustifiably reduced, while that of Governor Sule was increased to allegedly aid his victory, particularly at Gayam and Chiroma wards of Lafia local government area. Delivering the judgment, the chairman of the tribunal, Justice Ezekiel Ajayi, agreed with the petitioner and declared Mr. Umbugadu as a lawfully elected governor of Nasarawa State. While a member of the panel agreed with the lead judgment, another member of the panel, Justice Ibrahim Mashi, declared Governor Sule as the duly elected governor.
Based on the polling unit results, where elections held successfully, collated successfully, but were wrongly entered into the ward result from EC8B, taking a look at all the results from the polling unit, there is no doubt that Honorable Umbugadu won the election by the majority of lawful vote cast at the election and was declared by the tribunal.
When there is a dissenting judgment that is even far rooted in logic and law, there is definitely we are still under our bosses, Chief Olanipekun, Adelodu and co. So we have to go and sit down and discuss, then meet with the clients on the issue of appeal.
Nevertheless, Governor Sule is urging his supporters to remain calm as he hopes to reverse the verdict at the Court of Appeal.
There is no need for any protest. We still continue to believe in the judiciary, and that is the reason why we are going to the next level of the judiciary.
Security operatives also took over the premises of the Adamawa State High Court ahead of the governorship election petition tribunal judgment. The candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Mr. Umar Ado, is alleging corrupt practices and violence during the exercise. However, the tribunal led by Justice Theodora Oloho dismissed the petition, stating that it was lacking in merit, defective, and incompetent.
This petition has not been proven at all, just like I said by the tribunal, and we thank their lordships for doing justice to this case. And PDP, as we have always said, owns Adamawa, and Adamawa is PDP.
There are many decisions that were made excellent. There are some that we still think we have to look at again. You understand? Particularly the ones that even the Court of Appeal had made decisions on, which were also decided today. Sometimes the law is not 1 + 1 = 2.
Reacting to the tribunal's judgment, the deputy governor wants the petitioners to join hands with the state government to develop the state.
The victory is every Adama citizen, not just for me, my principal, or the party, but it's for all of us.
The petitioners have 14 days to file an appeal, which should be dispensed within the next 60 days.
So, that is exactly what's happened. I'm not going to go into details about everything else. I'm not going to go into details that ins and out. We may do that on a live broadcast, but I just wanted to bring that up. So, the new governor, unless the Governor Sule, Abdullahi Sule, wins the appeal, the new governor the governor will be a PDP man, Umbugadu. So that's as much as we want to talk about. We can go into talk about the details later on, but that's the court judgment, and I think to entertain any conjecture right now until the court case is, until the I don't know after the appeal is then heard, it's just not really going to serve much purpose. It is what it is. That's a court judgment, so that's all we're going to do on this particular section of the discussion on Citizen Why, the platform where we speak to the power. As ever, we urge you, go ahead and subscribe to Citizen Why on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the notification button, give us thumbs up, help us reach more people. We really appreciate your support. And of course, this was carried by Channels News, and we're discussing about this kind of things, and there'll be more cases going on. I mean, what ramifications for this does this case have for other judgments around disputes? One doesn't exactly know. I mean, is it a pattern? There are cases that have come up and cases that have been won by either side. So it's really hard to say if it's a pattern or if it's just case by case situation. But one thing is for sure, the amount of challenges to election results shows that the election itself is the election process in Nigeria is still very, very muddy waters, and there's a lot of room for improvement going forward. But as always, I always advocate for the need for we the people to begin to participate in our governmental process by way of exercising our constitutional powers. 1 second. Yes, so our participation in the process is the only thing that will ensure that there is a transparent election process and indeed a democracy. The democracy that's currently being practiced is borrowed the clothes of the people and imposed on them the unity and indivisibility of the nation without asking the people via a referendum if they in fact accept that indivisibility, if they accept the constitution itself. There are many muddied waters as a result of not exercising the powers that you see on the screen. Once we, the citizens, begin to participate in that process and exercise 14.2a, which states, I'm going to use the arrow to point along so you can read along with me. Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. We need to actually exercise those powers. And now, how do we exercise it? 14.2c states, the participation by the people in the government shall be ensured in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. Now, what is currently happening is that both parties, APC and PDP, are the major parties. Without our active participation as citizens, they are taking turns to play games and interfere with the electoral process and even, dictate via what INEC is doing and not doing. And that is because we are not exercising these powers that you see on the screen as citizens. We need to begin to do that. And I particularly urge us all in every local government area, in all 774 local government areas, that we begin to do something, which is to participate in our governance. But to be able to enable that, to enable that to happen, we need to demand for the constitution to be translated into our local languages in all 774 local government areas. So we all know generally in the southwest it's in Yoruba, in the southeast it's going to be different language, in the Igbo or Biafran language, and there will be other languages in between. What needs to happen is that these languages needs to be available to us in our local languages. In the UK, for example, you can read your laws of the nation in Welsh, in English, and I think in Irish, So there is no reason why we cannot do that in our case to enable our people to be able to participate in that process. What is going on right now is because for over 24 years, we have not been aware that we're sovereigns. Those who are in government have been using that vacuum to skew the elections in any way they see fit, removing our own sovereignty as collectively as citizens from the process, and thereby riggings and all kind of things happen. But the minute we're in the middle of that process, holding them to account, it makes it impossible. So, however you look at it, in whatever we want to do in that nation, without our active participation in our governance, this kind of electoral malfeasance and other things will continue to happen. So, but again, we reiterate that we must have this constitution in our local languages. I'm working on certainly doing that for Yoruba people, and I will make it available on Umbugadu TV Radio Citizen AY. We're working on that, and we'll give you updates on how that is going. But what I do want to say right now is that it is now obvious that without our active participation on governance, true democracy will never take root. What you are seeing is a democracy that is all democracy. It's democracy in all. It's not democracy. It is just an appearance of democracy, as put forward by those who are controlling Africa. And the colonials still have a large hand in who comes in and who goes out, depending on if those puppets are going to do their bidding. You just have to see how many African leaders are running off to go and have meetings with different colonials, and yet they get healthcare and things from colonials, whereas back home there's no healthcare for their people. So our participation in that process cannot be overemphasized, and it's stated by what you saw going on in the courts. They're going to go to court, they're going to do all of that stuff, but what are they actually really doing? Is that process, the fact that there are many court cases, shows that that process is not transparent, is full of all different kinds of corruption and everything else. But once we begin to participate and hold them to account, and that's why I urge all of us to begin in all 774 local government areas, to begin to participate in our governance, call a monthly meeting. We must have a monthly meeting where we call your local government chairman, state of assembly, House of Reps, senators to a meeting to account for the Federal Account Allocation Committee amount, where the money is going, and remind. And that meeting will serve as a reminder. We will call them, they sit at the meeting, and we remind them that we, the sovereigns, and we tell them this section of the Constitution, read it out to all of them as they sit down. Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government, through the Constitution, derives all its powers and authority. We need to begin to do that in all 774 local government areas. We need to. And what is even more important is that is even done. I would encourage that to be done in our local languages. That is one thing that I would really strongly urge us, because that way it would involve the people who are living in the villages, in the towns, in the cities. They will be able to hear in their own language their laws and the powers they possess. And once that happens, it takes away the lies that the politicians try to shroud themselves in, that they're working for the people and they have no say. You know, if they are hearing that they have powers in their local language, it is very difficult then for that politician to try and give a bag of rice, because the people will know that they have the powers to hold the governor, local government chairman, state of assembly, House of Reps, senators, governors, even the president to account, because they are sovereigns. This really is the foundation of the nation. To even buttress this point, let me just do something before I go. 1 second. Yes, so to buttress that point further, what I've done is basically make sure we've translated. Sorry, 1 second. This is going to be impacted by what you're about to see shortly. To buttress the point I was making about the need for us to participate in our governance and to reduce this need for challenging in court cases and things, because those who are there, the politicians are keeping the people in the dark about their actions. The more we participate in that process, particularly using our local languages, I cannot overemphasize that, the less likely they can pull the wool over our eyes. And that is why I'm advocating for the Constitution to be translated into our local languages for all of us to understand. Now, so here is what you need to do. Again, we're going to read this in Yoruba, because this is what our local people need to understand about the powers they possess. Section 14.2a in Yoruba says, and I'm going to read it along with you. Ìjọba jẹ́ ti àwọn ènìyàn Nàìjíríà láti ọ̀dọ̀ ẹni tí ìjọba nípasẹ̀ òfin orílẹ̀-èdè ìgbà gbogbo agbára àti àṣẹ rẹ̀. So that means that anybody from the farm, from the village, from the small town, from the suburbs, from the hinterlands, they can know in their language the powers that they possess as sovereigns. It is of immense importance. Once they know those powers, the politicians will not come to bamboozle them with lies, because they will say, no, this is what it says in the Constitution. That is why it is of immense importance that we have this Constitution translated into our local languages so that the people can participate in the process. Now, they are afforded that right to participate because under Section 14(2)(c) it states, ìkópa àwọn ènìyàn nínú ìjọba wọn gbọ́dọ̀ rí dájú ní ìbámu pẹ̀lú àwọn òfin orílẹ̀-èdè, which means that the participation by the people in the government shall be ensured in accordance with the provisions of this Constitution. That means that one of the central provisions is, of course, that we are sovereigns under Section 14(2)(a). And as a sovereign, you can participate and hold your governors to account. They need to know this in our local languages. Again, to demystify the governmental process and bring the people into the process so they can fully, actively participate and begin to hold those politicians we elect into office to account. The Constitution is still flawed, don't get me wrong. And in many respects, I'm calling for a referendum, because that Constitution was imposed on us without our acceptance. They spoke for the people. Those who imposed the Constitution spoke for the people. They denied the people the voice that we need. So I definitely think we need a referendum, but that's something that by participating in the process collectively we can demand for, and it will not be ignored. So anyway, so that's the court judgment in short, but attached to that is the need for us to have the understanding of the Constitution in our local languages, such as I've put up on the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, you are of course watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. When you get the broadcast, please do share, subscribe, hit the notification button, give us thumbs up. Here's what you need to do: subscribe to Citizen AY, hit the notification button, give us the thumbs up, help us reach more people. What are your thoughts on what you just saw about the results in Nasarawa? Let's hear your comments. You are of course watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. I'll be back later on. Please share, leave a comment, and give us thumbs up and help us grow the platform. We're trying to reach 3,000 subscribers. We're getting some traction, but we need more and more people to reach to hear this information. Our active participation in our governance is of immense importance, and to be able to aid the active participation, our laws have to be in our local languages to allow the people to know about their laws without having to go and have knowledge of a foreign language, because the intelligence can be gained in our own language. It is really important to understand that particular point. So hope you found this beneficial. You are of course watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. I'll be back later on. Thank you and bye for now.